Hello, everyone. I'm back for an update. Today, I'm going to discuss the experience that I had taking the bar exam and then also my final result. So, you guys know how I do it. I do not plan. This is just really informational purposes, for people who are like me, in the later stages of life still trying or wanting to pursue, a career in law. And this is probably going to be my final video because, after all, that was the whole point of the videos, which was, law school journey of a working mom. So anyway, let me just get right into it. Pardon my poofy hair. This is what's left of a silk press after getting rained on a little bit. Um, so the bar. Now, I took the February bar. I took it in a UBE jurisdiction. Um, and if you're already looking at the bar, you already know there's multiple choice. One day multiple choice, and then another day is essay basically. There's a total of 3 parts. I won't get into the particulars. This is really just about the experience that I had. Um, what you can expect, at least for what happened with me. I had extreme anxiety. I mean, extreme anxiety on the day before the exam. So, what I did was I went ahead and drove over to the venue to see the location, to see where I was going to park the day before, just so that I wouldn't feel flustered and I wouldn't feel rushed when it was time to check in and turn your phone in. And, I guess different jurisdictions have different procedures. Some give you a wristband, some don't. So I went ahead and, also got a hotel for the day before so that I wouldn't have to drive all the way because I'm about like an hour and a half away if there was heavy traffic. So I got a hotel that was a reasonably close distance. I got the top floor of the hotel so that I wouldn't have anybody jumping up and down on top of me, and I didn't want to be disrupted by children or pets or other people's phones or anything, right? So I checked into the hotel the day before. I tried to also plan my meal because you do get like a 45-minute break in the middle. I personally packed my own little Stanley thermos with food that was already in it. So I didn't have to worry about buying stuff. And my jurisdiction didn't have anywhere to go anyway to buy any food. It was kind of sucky. Um, so I got the hotel and then I go to bed at about 8, but I actually just do that. I only go into the bed. I don't sleep. I don't have my phone. I'm not staring at my phone. I'm just awake. And because I have, I don't take medication for anxiety or anything like that. I'm not one of those people that takes like, the sleeping pills or the gummies or anything like that. I just had to deal with it, the fact that I just couldn't sleep. So I finally went to sleep at about 4 a.m. after just lying there, mad at myself, getting more and more angry, more and more anxiety because I could not sleep. And that's me. So, I think if you're somebody who takes medication or can take something to calm yourself down, practice doing it beforehand. Be comfortable with the side effects beforehand. Unlike me, who never takes anything and desperately needed something, but then couldn't because I didn't want to risk it affecting my performance on the bar. So I just had to just deal with it. So after about 3 hours of sleep, I just woke up, caffeinated myself, and headed over to the venue where there was hundreds of people taking the exam. I mean, there had to be at least 300-400 people in that exam, and it takes a lot of time to check in. Your nerves are working. You see other people there. You see all these people. They look very studious, especially these younger test takers. You're kind of like, I'm the grandma there, but not the only one. Surprisingly, there are several people that were already practicing. They were just trying to be admitted to this particular jurisdiction. um so it was fine. So when they have clocks everywhere, and the first day is the essay portion, and believe it or not, some people actually still write theirs. They have handwriters out there. I was a typer. I did get carpal tunnel that day. It's now been 2 months since the exam, and I still have carpal tunnel in my wrist. Like, because the desks were like this and I was just typing like this. I was vigorously typing, trying to get my first my MPT out and then my MEE, which is the essay portions. So yeah, I sustained a very bad carpal tunnel. It's still not right. So after the first day, I was just like, I thought it was terrible. I had this awful feeling like, oh my gosh, I didn't know these essays. I only knew the topic superficially, and I just started to spiral down this death hole of, oh man, that was terrible. I felt that because also some of my peers that took the exam, this February 2024 exam, the essay portion was just death. Like, everybody was saying there was nothing easy about it. There was nothing familiar. There was no, I didn't see anything that it was just like simple, super simple, and I could just, do it. But at any rate, I had to keep moving. I went back to my room. I did not hang out with anybody. I did not go out to dinner. I went home, I took a shower, and I laid down. Of course, I didn't go right to sleep because anxiety was kicking in. Also because I felt so terrible about the exam that I just took that day. So I got maybe about 6 hours of sleep. 6 hours of sleep for the next portion of the exam. So the next day is the multiple choice. It's 6 hours. It's 2 sections of 3 hours each. It's 100 questions each. And it was all hand bubbling. Yeah, so get used to that. I grew up with bubble sheets. I grew up with the little Scantrons. But, for some of the younger test takers, they might have gotten annoyed with this constant bubbling. But, I've also felt like, I kept narrowing it down to two choices. Is it this? Like, every question had a 50-50 chance. And then there's also, when you're taking the test, there's the people around you. So there's these long tables, at least in my jurisdiction, and there's people, and it's kind of intimidating. Some of them have, they're very ready. They have their pencil just ready to rip open the packet when the time starts. They've got, elevated monitors and wireless laptops, so they're perfectly situated to have an excellent result. And it's intimidating. These people look very smart. But I had someone like that next to me, and someone who just had all the apparatus to do a great job. And I finished kind of before them, and I think they ultimately ran out of time on both sections. Which I finished, slightly before, but then you have people that finish like way ahead of time, and they're like already up using the bathroom, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even close to finishing. You got to block those people out, because some people are taking their tests very differently. Some people read very fast. That's not me. I read slow and methodically, so I had like exactly enough time. You got to put those blinders on. You can't be wigging out about everybody else because you don't know their situation. You don't know what they're going through. They may look great, but you don't know. It's not your business. You're there to handle your business. So yeah, it was rough, and I highly recommend earplugs. My jurisdiction did allow those. It did wonders for people, clacking and typing and breathing. And, if you're used to studying alone without noise, you better get them earplugs or get used to a noise, because my building happened to be making all kind of industrial noises when we were taking it. It was awful. It was just awful. But anyway, so after the test is over, you kind of feel this extreme depression, especially if you're not confident. I was not confident. I left there feeling like, oh God, I'm going to have to take this thing in July. Oh man, please, like, this is a horrifying experience. I'm so embarrassed. So you walk out, and I felt defeated, and I just took it. Knowing full well I would not know the answer. I would not know the results for a full 2 months before I get, my score. I'm still and it's common. All my classmates are like, well, I'm going to be taken again. And just everybody's going negative Nancy on you. And if you do that, I think it's just normal, because the test was extremely hard. It was the hardest test I've ever taken in my life. And the second most stressful thing I've had to go through, other than childbirth. Um, so don't it's just not a test to play with, and it's not a test you ever want to take again. It is sheer torture, and no one understands until they take it themselves, right? So between the after the bar exam and the results, you have this 2-month period where you're just dying. You're just like in this career like purgatory. You don't know, like, are you coming? Are you going? Every thought could go through your mind. I passed. Maybe I did pass. Well, I don't know. Maybe I failed. What will I do? I have to take it again. What about this jurisdiction? What about my score? What about so and so's score? Let's look at last year's scores. Let's look at this date. Let's look at first time test taker. You go down every single rabbit hole because you are just basically stuck for 2 months while they, take their time grading your multiple choice and your essay exam. So, when you finally get the result, as I did, I was anticipating my result. They told me I would get it in a couple days, right? I would get it earlier than I thought. Those 2 days of me knowing the exact day I was going to get the result, I was crying. I was already just down in myself and just feeling like, oh man, I was crying to my husband. I'm crying alone. I'm upset. I'm like, I worked so hard. I just all this time because it's literally a 5-year journey if you count the time starting from the LSAT. Remember, I was working. I had to start early on everything, right? I started studying for the LSAT in 2019. And I think that's when I actually took the LSAT, if I'm not mistaken. So at any rate, we're here in 2024. So it's 5 years, and I am just very, very depressed and upset. And I keep in mind, I don't know the result yet, and it's coming. And they tell you that you'll have your result by the end of the day on this day, and then they wait till the end of the day to tell you. They sent me the result at 4:20 of all, 4:20 on the day. At the end of the day, on a Friday. I guess they don't want to ruin people's weekend or give people, a weekend to celebrate. I don't know the logic. At any rate, I see the email, and I'm breathing hard and heavy. I'm just like, please God, please God, please God. And I open it, and it says I was successful, and I passed, and I was in disbelief because I'd already told myself that I had failed. And I passed where I can go to any UBE jurisdiction that I want, including, obviously the one I was in. So I did pass, and I was just praying. I was just thanking God, and I was just thinking how fortunate I am to have passed the first time. And I was thinking, my husband who helped me along the way and was just, dealing with me and all my stress for all this time. And you just started breaking down. When I saw the result, I just ran to him and I just put my head in his chest and started crying because I honestly thought I had failed. And it's normal. It's normal to think that you failed, and for me, it's a long time coming. I'd taken the LSAT in my 20s. I'd taken the LSAT again in my 30s. And, to finally pass and to finally say, yes, I am credentialed and I can practice law is a triumphant moment. And for the first time, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pat myself on the back. Yeah, it's okay to toot my own horn for this. It's a big deal. Even if I am 40 plus, it's a big deal to have done this with children and still working. It's a big deal. So, there are people who pass. Unfortunately, there are people who don't pass. And it's very important to reach out to those people and still support those people, because not everyone will pass on their first try, and it does not mean that you are lesser than. It just means that you just need to try harder on the test. It's a teachable test after all. I don't judge people if they didn't do well, because I just, I did terribly on the LSAT my first 2 tries. And so you have to reach out to those people, lend a hand, say encouraging words, bring those people in closer so that they can pass. So it's good not, to forget about them. But also celebrate in your own, triumphant way. So, like I said, this is probably my last video. I don't know. Maybe I'll start some videos on finding a job. I'm not really sure how that is going to turn out. maybe it'll be noteworthy enough to make a new set of videos, maybe not. But in the meantime, I know this is very long-winded, but it is my last video, so I hope you can cope with it. And I've said before, and I will say it again, that you can do this. It does not matter how old you are or what career you had before, or the hurdles in your way. There are programs out there now where law school is in a transition period, where suddenly it's okay to take classes online, whereas before they wouldn't have accepted it. It's okay to take the majority of your classes online. And and I think that's just going to change the face of law, in my opinion. So you can do it. I am an example of somebody who did it. Was I at the top? No, I wasn't even close. I would say I'm solidly in the middle somewhere as far as like rank and all that. But like I said before, I do not care. I have passed the same exam that, the top people in my class have passed. So I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm just looking forward to see what's next in my life. So thank you guys for hanging out and checking in, the few followers that I do have, and hit me up with any comments if you have any. All right.